Hello everyone, back at it again with another ice video. What's this in the ice? Is that a rock or a turtle nose? I want to say it's a rock. Can't quite tell. But I got my big ice sled with me today, and that's because it's pretty cold. Kind of windy too. Now on the plus side, it's not crowded at all. We've got ideal ice conditions. There's a little bit of frozen slush on top. You can see all the footprints where people were stepping into the slush when it was a little bit warmer, but today it is not warm. So we got the whole lake to ourselves basically. There's a couple people playing hockey, skating around where they've cleared off skating rinks, because this ice is kind of lousy to skate on. It's all junky and crusty and rough. So yeah, I've got the whole lake to explore. And this wasn't my first plan. I got a little detoured because of traffic, and I just decided instead of sitting in traffic, I'm just going to bail and fish. And so this is just kind of a plan B that I made on the fly, and it's really not my first choice. I have fished here before in previous years, so I have a little bit of history I'm working off of, but it's midwinter and the fish have shifted around. And I'll be honest, it took me a while to find them. I tried shallow, I tried deep, and I didn't really get on what I wanted to find until later in the day. And I ended up on a saddle area. I'll show you the map. So this is what I call a saddle area. There's two deep basins, and it sort of looks like a horse saddle. And I'm trying to line up my holes right on top of that saddle on the highest point, and then I'll spread out from there. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can do a grid pattern, you can do random, you can do circles, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to cover some of the deeper water off the side of the saddle. I want to have at least one hole right on the top, the highest point I can find, and then just kind of cover water from there. For a spoon, I've got my trusty 1/5 ounce gold Swedish pimple. I was fishing some deeper water earlier, and it just falls fast. Has a little bit of flutter, not too much. But I'll be honest, I think it was a little bit too big for these conditions. For whatever reason, the fish were a little bit slow. Now, I am at a different pond than I planned on going to. I haven't been here in many, many years. So I'm a little bit off in terms of fish location, and it takes me a little while to find them, but they just seemed a little slower than I expected. And my guess is if the fishing was really hot, there'd be more people out here, but it seemed like there were people out here in the morning, judging from the old holes and how much they had frozen over, and then they left, and I'm guessing they left because the fishing was a little slow. So like I said, it took me a while to find them, but eventually I started getting bit. And this hole was right on top of that saddle area. You know, I think I said I tried the deep basins first. I tried shallow. I tried all over. Places that looked okay on the map. And I'm just going through the map and marking off places one by one and until I land on the fish. You know, if you have any kind of mapping software, that's kind of the better way to go instead of just fishing randomly. That's not a bad perch. He was a little fussy when he was biting though. I missed him once or twice, and he wasn't hooked super well. So I've triangulated kind of where I wanted to fish. I've determined that there's fish in this area, and now I'm just going to try to pick them apart. What's next? What's coming up the hole? Little pumpkin seed. That's all right. Not as big as that perch, but we'll take them. Take anything on a day like today. I got my my warmest gloves with me, and I'm fishing with straight 4-pound Suffix Ice Magic ice line, and that's because it's cold, and if I tried to fish with braid today outside, everything would just freeze up. But it's working out pretty well. I've got that on a custom graphite rod that I built. What's this? Little crappy. It's a solid graphite rod from Bass Kang. I had a video on that earlier. How to make your own ice rods. And you can make anything you want. You know, I like this rod specifically for fishing outside. That's not a bad one. He's maybe a little bigger than I gave him credit for at first. Yeah, not bad. So if you're in the market for a new ice rod, I highly recommend making your own. And the reason really is because you can make whatever you want. I like to pair up the solid graphite rods with straight mono or straight fluoro. Kind of softens that graphite up. And they're solid graphite, so that means they're a little bit more durable than some of the hollow graphite rods. I haven't had any trouble yet. The fiberglass rods, the solid fiberglass rods, are really durable because they're glass and they can take a pounding, an absolute beating. So I was catching fish, but I didn't have the idea that they were into the size of spoon that I was fishing, so I wanted to downsize. And the bait I ended up with was a little black ice Swedish pimple. It's the smallest size. It's the 1/10 ounce. And I put a Gamakatsu open eye sea wash hook on it, size 10. And I tipped that with worm. You can tip with whatever bait you have handy, whatever works in your area. But they were being just a little bit more hesitant. I also downsized my rod. This is a fiberglass rod that I built specifically for fishing outside. Oh, that one doesn't count. He got away at the hole. It has less guides on it. The guides are oversized. And I've got a reel with straight 3-pound fluoro on it. And so this is pretty finessey, but it also allows me to fish outside no problem. And what's this? This is a largemouth bass coming up the hole. Hold still, buddy, so I can get my thumb on your mouth. I'll get him in a second. There he goes. Yeah, so just that little change of downsizing the Swedish pimple. That black ice color is a good color for me on tough days. But this is really, he's a nice little bass. I don't even think he'll go 2 pounds. Maybe a pound, maybe a pound and a half. Yeah, so the black ice color is a great color on tough days when they don't seem to want a lot of flash and they don't want a bigger bait. I've done really well with that color. This one's pulling a little drag. I think this was the bigger bass, yeah. That one might go about 2 pounds. Now, he's not a giant, but he's got a little bit of a gut on him. A little bit bigger mouth. Yeah. Bet he goes 2. Good fight on the jig rod. Back down the hole he goes. Thanks for playing, bud. Got to get that glove back on. You know, I have that blue towel on my hip, and that helps a lot too. I can dry my hands off if they get wet or slimy or whatever. And that's the worst thing to do to your hands when it's cold outside is get them wet and let them stay wet, and then the heat just gets sucked right out of your hands. What's this? A little bluegill? He's a little thin, but that's okay. We're taking anything on this trip. Can't be too picky on days like today. Back down the hole he goes. What's up next?
What's that? Doesn't feel real big.
Giving a little tussle there. I think that's a crappie. Yeah.
A little bigger.
Nice little crappie. And they're eating this black ice pimple a little bit better than the bigger one. You know, just in general. Not bad, not bad. Back down the hole he goes. Oh, that one might need a little tap to get going. Get going, fish. I'm not all that deep because I'm right on the saddle area, so he should release just fine. Back down the hole. See what's next. I'm working a fish there, very subtle movements. That could be a sunfish because I really had to finesse him a little bit. Oh no, it's not a sunfish. It's a little bass, a little tiny bass. I think that's the smallest one I got all day. You know, the two ones that were a little bit bigger, they were in good shape. You know, they weren't giants, but that bigger one had a little bit of a gut on them. So I like to see that. I like to see the fish in good shape. It just sort of suggests that more of them are going to be in good shape. Towards dusk, I decided to head shallow again and see if I could wrestle up any other fish. And it was tough. You know, I remember fishing here years ago and I did really well shallow, but I think that was early ice or maybe late ice. Midwinter, some of these fish slide off the shallows and they go off onto deeper structure like that saddle area. So I drilled a bunch of holes and yeah, I think I only got maybe one sunfish and that was it for this trip. I'm still working that fish. I remember he hit it multiple times. Kind of pounding that little spoon in place.
There he is.
Yeah, and then he took it.
That took forever.
I really had to work for that fish though. So I feel like they just weren't in thick shallow. And if I came here again, I would just start on that saddle area and skip everything else that I tried. And on a different day, I bet a bigger spoon would work and help call in some of those bigger perch and crappie and maybe some big bass too. I have caught some big bass here. 5'10" I think was my biggest out of here on the jig rod, which is a pretty good fish on a little jigging rod like that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here today and hopefully have some good luck wherever you might be fishing across the country or across the world. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!